Kiwi.
102.2 Auckland. The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Talking politics with Phil Goff.
Yes, with the leader of the Labour Party, Phil Goff, with us this morning. Hello, Phil.
Good morning, Wammo.
Good morning. Well, it's been a busy old weekend with the Rise Up Christchurch Telethon, the 48-hour film festival. The protests about the Wellywood sign are increasing. Also, we all survived the rapture as well. Plus, you managed to survive the Labour Party Congress.
Well, more than survived. We didn't get the rapture that that the United States evangelists were predicting, but we got a pretty warm response from the Labour Party conference. I don't think I should describe it as rapturous, but no, very enthusiastic, because what Labour people were looking for were a couple of things. One, they were looking for a plan for the future. Where we're going to go as a country, because they didn't see that in the budget. I think they're also looking for a fare in New Zealand. We've become one of the least equal countries in the developed world. People are finding it really hard at the bottom. You and I, as taxpayers, we pay for our emissions trading scheme on our petrol and our power, but we also pay for the farmers as well for their agricultural emissions. And I think our conference delegates thought that it was a good idea that farmers with the best prices in a lifetime shouldn't be subsidised for the next 2 years as the national government changed the legislation to provide for, but we should be putting that money into how we can develop a really smart, innovative economy that can provide high-tech, high-skill, and most importantly, high-wage jobs, so that our kids and our grandkids have got a future in this country, not across the Tasman.
So you're talking about R&D, research and development tax credits there. What does that mean?
Well, it means that for every dollar that they invest in research and development, the smart tech any company in New Zealand actually, any justifiable dollar that they invest, they get a tax credit towards that of 12.5%. It's pretty common across the world. In fact, we used to have it in New Zealand, but the first thing that the national government did when they came into office, against strong Treasury advice, was to scrap the system. And what leads me to do this, Wammo, is that we spend on research and development about a third what other countries that are our size and at our stage of development do. And, we can rely on our commodity prices being good. We can say more tourism. But, every tourist job is worth about $80,000 worth of production. Every high-tech job in this country is worth $200,000 or $300,000 in production. And if we want to be at the top of the world, I'm not knocking tourism, it's an important part of our economy. But if we want our best and our brightest people to stay in this country, to generate real wealth, then we need to promote a clever economy. We can't be the cheapest in the world at providing things, but we can be the best, and that's what we need to be.
And you're also looking at bumping up the wages that we're paid as well. The minimum wage up to $15 in Labour's first year. Yeah,
it's the minimum wage is currently $13 an hour, and frankly, mate, I don't know how people live on that sort of money. The people at the bottom are really struggling. I mean, frankly, the kids that they're trying to raise are often below the poverty line. I just get story after story in my own electorate and across the country. They'd love their kids to be playing sport. They can't afford the fees for their kids to play sport. They go to the supermarket, it's mince and sausages every week. It's never a lamb chop. They're not getting a fair go, and these are the people that were left worse off after the tax switch. They didn't get anything out of it. They were left further behind. They're not the people that can write off their taxes. They don't get company cars. They certainly don't get BMWs, and they are being really crunched. And yet, if we give them a few more bucks in their pocket, they're the people that'll go out and spend it and help get our country back out of recession.
Where's that coming from, though? I mean, how are the employers going to pay for this?
Well, the employers, they've been through a rough time, but they've got their own benefits in recent times. They're down to 28 cents in the dollar company tax, and I'm not going to turn that around. I'm going to leave the company tax low. But frankly, you can't say, oh, well, I'm going to pay you less than what it survives on, what it costs to survive on, because that's not a fair go. All it means is that, we've got to pay more in tax dollars, actually, to try to lift people with working for families and stuff like that. What we're actually encouraging people to do is move to the high-tech end so that people can pay high wages. That's what we're doing with R&D. But we're saying, the people that clean our hospitals and our schools, the people that work in our shops and our offices, they've got to have a living wage too. You can't have the people at the top. Chief executives gave themselves 14% salary rises on average incomes of several $100,000 a year last year, and the people at the bottom got next to nothing. You can't have a society like that. People deserve, for a decent week's work, they need to get a decent wage.
Because there will be a lot of moaning from employers, and people will be worried that unemployment will go up. But what was the experience last time the minimum wage was rose?
Well, we raised it every year that we were in government. We took it from about $7 an hour to $12 an hour. Did unemployment go up? No, we got the lowest rates of unemployment in a generation, and that was good. Look, it will be a bit tough for some employers. I'm not doubting that. But there's a hell of a lot of other people out there that are saying, as long as I can get away with paying somebody a subsistence wage, I'm going to do it because it improves my bottom line. Well, you've got to have a bit of fairness in it. The employer's got to have a fair go. We're not trying to make life more difficult for them, but we're saying equally, if you're taking on the responsibilities of employing someone, they've got to get at least a living wage.
Yeah.
$15 an hour is not extravagant. It's probably the minimum that people can get by on and meet the rising cost of cheese and milk and meat and groceries and power and rent. In Auckland here, rents have gone up by about $23 a week over the last year. If you're on a low income, you can never afford your own home. By the time you paid your rent, you're buggered. What do you have left over to buy the groceries with? So we pride ourselves on people getting a fair go, and that's what I'm asking for.
And I guess the big challenge set by voters to Labour would be, well, how are you going to pay for some of this stuff? And over the weekend, you announced a cutting of a big project that was being planned for the Holiday Highway north of Auckland.
Yeah. We're spending about $1.4 billion on that. Frankly, we don't have that money. We're borrowing that money. And at the moment, the Christchurch earthquake rebuild has got to come first. What I tried to do over the weekend was this, Wammo, say there are things that we really need to do to get our economy going. We've got to upskill our people. We've got to do research and development. Those things cost money. Therefore, we've got to find savings. I'm not going to go out and promise you to do things that we don't have money to do. I am going to promise you that we're not going to keep pushing New Zealand's debt up. It's already too high. So what I set out in the weekend was the things where we'd make savings to pay for the things that we were going to spend.
Yeah.
And that's, even Annette King did that in her speech. She said, Families Commission, $8 million a year, what are we getting out of it? We can cut that, and we can put some of that money directly into helping kids. I said we need more money for research and development to grow the economy, grow income, grow revenue, grow jobs. We're going to stop subsidising farmers.
Many people would see, though, that the Holiday Highway money was actually robbed from the public transport purse rather than anywhere else. I mean, that money should really go into creating jobs in the public transport sector.
Oh, we can do that. I mean, we've got a hypothecated system where all the Labour boarded in. When you pay your tax on your petrol, it goes directly into roading or public transport. And we know what we need in public transport here in Auckland. I've got to go down the motorway when I finish this phone call, and sometimes it takes me an hour and 10 minutes to get down the motorway. We can't keep making the motorway bigger, but we can provide some better public transport, and that's why the Mayor's talking about, the electrified railway and the inner city loop. Those are the things that we need to invest in first. What I do with the Holiday Highway, I'd probably spend, out of the $1.4 billion, probably spend about $300 million on safety factors where it really needs to be done.
Yeah.
But then say, okay, getting the highway in, that's something we can do in the future when we can afford it, but there are more pressing priorities right now.
But you're not going to cut the completion of the motorway link-up?
To the northwestern with State Highway 20.
Yeah.
No, that finishes the loop, and that's important. That's got to happen, and that'll make a big difference in relieving the pressure on the motorway.
It's important
as well.
for where we live, Phil. Mount Albert, Mount Roskill. Yeah. It's important for us.
But remember what Melissa Lee said, that was going to bring the criminals from South Auckland, so...
Cheers for that. See ya. We'll talk to you next week after, actually. I'm away next week. So.
Okay, good. You have a good break, mate.
All right, cheers.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye.
Leader of the Labour Party there, Phil Goff, right here. It's now 3 minutes.